whales, formerly known as orca whales, are one of the biggest mammals in the animal kingdom, and they are also, despite their misleading name, some of the most gentle. There are very few, if any, killer whale attacks on humans in their natural environment, the ocean. However, that same gentleness cannot be said for when orca whales are kept in captivity. There are over 400 recorded aggressive acts of behavior and 4 deaths caused by attacks of killer whales, all which have happened in captivity. Only 20 of 145 whales taken captive remain alive today. At sea parks such as SeaWorld, a captive killer whale would have to swim the circumference of the main pool more than 1,400 times to match the equivalent daily distance it would have traveled if it would have been in the wild. Captive killer whales and the tanks that they have to live in are the equivalent of humans having to spend their entire lives in a bathtub. Harm comes to more than just the whale and the trainer when an orca is in captivity. It can also come to the fellow whales that are in captivity with the whale. Because of the tight living quarters, the orcas get way more aggravated at other whales, unlike when they are in the wild. There are certain conditions that killer whales are naturally raised in that are ripped away from them and cannot be recreated in captivity. When orcas are taken captive, they are separated from their pods, which is extremely hard for killer whales because they are extremely social animals. One of the saddest aspects of whales that are in captivity is the decrease in their lifespans that they have to take. The lifespan of a killer whale in the wild and that of one who is in captivity or one who is bred in captivity is drastically different. In the wild, orcas will live anywhere from 40 to 60 years old. Occasionally, they will even live upwards towards 80 years in age. Their lifespan is very comparable to those of humans. However, when killer whales are put in captivity or are bred into it, their lifespan is cut drastically. Their average lifespan drops down to around 20 years of age, and oftentimes the whales that are bred in captivity are stillborn or die shortly after birth. Another way that it is obvious that captivity negatively affects a killer whale is the collapsing of its dorsal fin. In the wild, it is very, very rare that you will ever see a killer whale with a collapsed dorsal fin. If you do, it's usually because that whale is either injured or very close to death. Collapsed fins occur in less than 1% of the wild population of orca whales. However, in captivity, it's extremely common to see a collapsed dorsal fin. Due to the shallow pools in which captive orcas live, all male and some female orcas have a collapsed dorsal fin. Captive orcas spend most of their time on the surface where the force of gravity acts on their fin. This occurs in less than 1% of the population of orca whales that reside in the wild. The most concerning problem with the captivity of killer whales is the aggression it causes towards humans. In the wild, there has never been a death or harm caused to a human by killer whales, unlike that of in captivity. These are just some of the few instances where captive whales attack their trainers. If not for the tons of reasons that captivity causes harm to the whales, surely the harm that it results in for the trainers and those surrounding should be enough to end the captivity of these extraordinary creatures.